You may have heard that when you go seeking revenge, dig 2 graves. But in the game of NASCAR, 2 graves are usually not enough. A revenge mission could end up costing the lives of several NASCAR race cars, requiring the need for extensive repairs running into hundreds of thousands of dollars, or rendering them completely inoperable. Today, you'll be learning how to express your road rage more aggressively, although you most likely won't get away with it. But more importantly, you'll learn the story about how a NASCAR Hall of Famer, Matt Kenseth, was pushed to the wall, literally, and when he just about had enough, he decided to shove back. What's more, he got his revenge in style, putting on a show for millions of people watching around the world. What was supposed to be a gentleman's agreement between professional drivers suddenly turned into a chaotic tableau of shredded iron, twisted plastic, busted tires, and loud bangs echoing off the walls, and smoke hissing out from beneath the hood of million-dollar race cars. If you've ever heard the story and wondered about how the cool, quiet kid from Wisconsin became popular overnight, gaining fans amongst both the drivers, crew members, and viewers, the true reason may be more surprising than you think. But to tell the story right, we need to go back in time. Almost a decade ago, NASCAR introduced new racing rules that changed the face of driving entirely. The resulting cracks that would form in its organizational walls would be one they never saw coming. But let's talk about NASCAR and its drivers for a bit. NASCAR race drivers are arguably one of the most important contributors to the sport's entertainment.
And everybody!
Good. Oh, no. Are you kidding me? This is big, wow!
Unsurprisingly, they carry themselves with a great deal of pride. To be a NASCAR driver, you need to have excellent car control, hand-eye coordination, spatial awareness, healthy decision-making skills, drive IQ, and experience.
And it's going to be Logano getting the win!
But equally well known as the adrenaline junkies who sign the dotted lines to become drivers is their compulsive tendency to seek revenge during races. In simple terms, NASCAR race drivers are world-renowned experts on the art of getting revenge. Fully 80% of NASCAR drivers are guilty of this. NASCAR drivers would hunt down their target like a heat-seeking missile, fueled by 2 tons of animalistic human rage and the overpowering desire to inflict pain where offense has been taken. Here are some common revenge acts taken directly from the NASCAR driver's handbook of how to get retribution. To begin, you could punt your target from behind, sideswipe them, turn their car around using the pit maneuver, slam them into a wall, run their car into a barricade, or lean on them from the rear until they spin out. But that's not all. You can also hit them into an obstacle at just the right speed that the car flips over. If you were a fan of extreme prejudice, you could pile drive your car into theirs, so your opponents have need of a new engine block. And the list continues. Some drivers are really slick at getting back at other drivers, and their act of revenge so subtle, it is difficult to determine if it was actually premeditated or not. But this was not the case of the altercation between Matt Kenseth and Joey Logano. When it happened, there was no doubt as to his intentions or the reason why he deliberately took Logano out of a race he was highly favored to win. In January 2014, NASCAR announced a new chase system that was just like the playoff systems used in other major league sports. The top 16 race winners during the regular season were made to compete for the championship. Afterwards, 3 cuts happened with each round, eliminating the bottom 4 racers each time until only the final 4 remained. Under this system, any chase driver who won a race during a playoff is automatically guaranteed a spot in the next round. Ironically, the playoff system was referred to as the Matt Kenseth rule when he won the championship in 2003. Everyone thought it was unfair he'd won the title having won only 1 race, and disregarded the fact that he'd had 25 top 10 finishes.
Runs out of time, Matt Kenseth wins the Daytona 500.
So the rules were changed to make sure that never happened again. And these new racing conditions caused the bone of contention between Matt Kenseth and Joey Logano. To understand these drivers better, Matt and Joey had 2 very distinct and nearly polar opposite personalities. Matt was someone who was regularly overlooked, in spite of his exceptional racing skills. Some people have forgotten that Kenseth had won the Rookie of the Year earlier in his career, and that over the course of 18 years, he won the Daytona 500 twice, the Southern 500, the Coca-Cola 600, and the All-Star race, collecting 39 Cup Series wins, a record that placed him among the all-time greats. Very recently, Matt Kenseth was even inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame. But unlike more popular, seemingly entertaining racers like Robbie Gordon, Jimmy Spencer, and Tony Stewart, who seemed to be magnets for chaos, Kenseth avoided trouble like the plague and was regularly thought to be boring on the track. He was one of the cleanest and most respectful drivers out there. Very few people have ever seen Matt Kenseth lose his temper. On a rare occasion where someone actually managed to get Matt Kenseth upset, his fellow colleague Clint Bowyer, who drove the number 15 for MWR, said, "If Matt Kenseth comes at you and puts you in a headlock and punches you in the nose, there's no jury needed. You're guilty, period. This is the nicest guy in the garage, and if you can get him to that breaking point, there's no sense of even saying anything. Just take your beating and go home." On the other hand, Joey Logano fitted very nicely into the role of the villain, not just in this story but on the track as well. Joey had had a fairly fast rise through the ranks, which had been widely covered by the media. At one time, he was the most highly touted NASCAR prospect ever, literally earning the moniker of the greatest thing since sliced bread. There was little doubt that Logano was a great driver, with 159 trophies, nearly 30 Cup wins, 30 Xfinity wins, and a lone Truck Series victory. The only problem here was that as he advanced in his career, his racing style began to grate on the nerves of many fans and drivers. Without sugarcoating it, Joey Logano was a dirty driver. Despite his racing pedigree, Logano would not hesitate to use cheap tactics if that would get him a better position in the race. He'll block someone with a huge run and risk wrecking the whole field. He'll slam someone into the wall if he knows they're going to pass him. He'll move you out of the way even though he has a faster car and would probably win if he raced you cleanly. Many drivers, including Tony Stewart, whom he'd replaced on Joe Gibbs' team, had felt the urge to smack the pretty, misleading face of Logano, which was not in any way indicative of the carnage he liked to cause on the track whenever he got the whim. But rather than knock some of his teeth out, Matt Kenseth decided to get Logano where it hurt the most: the championship playoffs. It was 2015 in Charlotte, and Logano was having one of the best moments of his career, reaching an all-time high statistically and putting himself in a great position to win the championship. Matt Kenseth was also having a great run, having won 5 races through 28 events, the most in the series. Joey had just qualified for the next round of playoffs, but Matt Kenseth had finished almost dead last because he wrecked his car early. This put Kenseth in a must-win situation because under the new rules, winning was all that mattered. Like the racing phenom that he is, Matt Kenseth stepped up to the plate, dominating the race for more than half the laps. The only other driver who had been able to keep up with his insane pace was Joey Logano. But remember that Joey did not need to win this race. He was already locked in for the next rounds. Even if he finished second place behind Kenseth at this point, it was still all in all a very good day. But some hardwired racing instincts, coupled with the fact that Matt Kenseth was the guy everyone pushed around without repercussions, made him escalate their meeting. He'd been continuously baying at Kenseth's heels like the hounds from hell, and there was just 5 more laps to go. Kenseth is doing everything he can to win the race, including driving defensively and protecting the best racing lines around the track. Logano finally got tired of looking at Kenseth's rear view and gave him a nudge on the bumper, lifting his tires off the ground and spinning him out. This action not only wrecked Kenseth's car, but it completely destroyed his hopes of advancing to the next round. On the outside, there does not seem to be much wrong with this scene. It was just hard racing after all. But when you consider the fact that during the course of the race, Kenseth had been presented with the opportunity to take out Logano, but he didn't. And that was not all. The following week, Matt Kenseth gets taken out again, but this time, Logano's teammate Brad Keselowski is the culprit. It was the absolute last straw that broke the camel's back. Though nobody knew it, Matt Kenseth decided at that point that he was going to get his revenge. Kenseth's opportunity doesn't take long in coming. The chase sprint was on, and Kenseth saw Logano coming up behind him. Patiently, he waits for him to pass, and just after Logano clears him, Kenseth goes after him, almost turning Logano's number 22 perpendicular to the racetrack. Then he drives him full throttle into the wall in an act of vengeance that totals both cars. It's not a pretty sight, and you can almost see the tears in Logano's eyes when he's interviewed after the event.
He blocks you a few times, and then we raced hard, and he blocked me last time, and we spun out. That's what happened there. Here is just a complete coward move.
Just like Kenseth, his championship hopes had just gone up in smoke.
Sometimes you get put in these spots, and you gotta try to keep respect.
But the resulting message to all the other drivers was crystal clear. Matt Kenseth was done being pushed around.